Hey, it's Dr. Kim from DRKIMD.com. We had an amazing group call yesterday with my private coaching group in Radical Health Coaching. And I want to share one of the things that came up because it was so powerful and it was creating a lot of pain and tension and strain for this particular woman. She had a lot of work-related stress. And there was pain in her pelvis, pain in her shoulder. And she'd been dealing with this for quite some time and knew that, when she was in her work mode, it was contributing to the problem. It was creating a lot of stress in her body and causing the pain. And so after a long time of dealing with this, she decided it was time to step away from work and thought that that should help the problem in her body. But what she realized is that her body wasn't really registering that freedom that she was choosing. So we kind of felt into what was actually going on in her system. And it turned out there's a lot of her identity in, I have to work hard and be productive and take care of, everyone else, take care of my family and contribute, that went way beyond just her own career and what she really wanted. It was like this ingrained, I've got to, work hard, contribute, be a good worker, be a productive member of society. It was even down at the cellular level that this was ingrained in her body. And so her body was registering that, holding it in, and it was creating a lot of pain that prevented the shoulder from healing. And in just a few minutes of doing this work and really being more present to what was going on in her body, she realized this was a cellular, it was down to the level of her DNA, in her heritage. It was important, it was essential that she be a productive, contributing member of society, and that she couldn't let that go. So if she take off work, or now she's going to be resigning, and it still didn't matter. It was like the body was not okay with that. It registered, this is not okay, I can't do this. So it created a lot of tension in the body. And when we release that underlying pattern, I have to work hard, I have to contribute, and how important that was, her body actually registered that and started to loosen up. So she's starting to release the pain right away. It's a really powerful thing how our bodies, our cells, even our DNA registers these messages. And it can be from your heritage, your lineage, even if it's not something that you've experienced in your life where you've actually had that challenge or that strife or that that lack. If you've not been through the depression, but maybe your grandparents have, for example, it can get registered in your DNA as if you have to, scrimp and save, and you have to, you're living in lack, and it's not okay. An interesting study that was done years and years ago with mice demonstrates this exact point. The mice were exposed to cherry blossoms, and when they had the cherry blossoms around, they would give the mice a shock. And of course, the shock would, increase their cortisol levels, their stress hormones. It would cause them to go into fight or flight. And then they found that just the exposure to the cherry blossoms did the same thing. So even without the shock, just the exposure to the cherry blossoms, of course, as we've kind of all learned some things about this, would cause that fight or flight stress response, even though there's no stressor in place. The interesting thing about this study was that, generations later, they exposed the babies of those mice who'd never been exposed to the shock. They would expose them to cherry blossoms, and they would have the same response. It was a cellular pattern that had been learned and registered at the level of the DNA, so that these mice associated the cherry blossoms with stress. And so their cortisol levels would go up. Their brain would go into fight or flight just with the exposure to the cherry blossoms alone. And then they saw again the next generation down, and the next generation down would register the same pattern. It took a while before it faded out. So if there's some kind of challenge that's been present in your lineage, it is possible for you to give your cells a new message so you can live in the freedom that is your life. It was an amazing thing to experience yesterday in the group call, and to have this woman share with me later that this was such a profound experience of her embracing greater freedom and health. So I hope that is supportive to you and really understanding how your body works, because a lot of times we get this awareness that, it's because of my heritage or my history or these abuse in the past, and so my nervous system is not going to be open to that freedom. Well, it can change very, very quickly And you're the one who can actually embrace that. So I'm sending you this message for inspiration. If you'd like more in MindBody Medicine, be subscribed at DRKIMDERAMO, and definitely share this video with others that you know. If you know people who are struggling in their health, struggling with an autoimmune illness or migraine headaches or chronic pain or depression, anxiety, our body, our cells are listening to every thought we have. Sharing my love with you today, and I'll see you soon.